Hey everyone, it's Nico, and I've got Wren's Resurgence here, which is a new indie release on Steam. Thankfully, it's not coming to consoles as of right now because it does not belong on literally like any other platform in its current state. So we'll get into all that bad stuff here shortly. But first, what is this game? It's basically a hack and slash where you play as a female protagonist that has a few different mobility options, like you can climb walls and plays kind of like Ninja Gaiden esque, but it also has a parry system. And you can parry enemy attacks, you can also roll to dodge attacks, and that's the main abilities that you'll have at your disposal. And there's different upgrades you can acquire. There's a shop in the game. As you defeat enemies, you'll earn these crystals, and you can buy different upgrades and equip those and things like that. There's different weapon types. You start with a sword, but there's some others you'll acquire as you play through it. And that's basically how the game flows in terms of the combat and the mobility for your character. The story follows Wren and her sister Swan. And the basic premise of the game is that you're playing as Wren, and Swan gets kind of taken away very early on, and you're trying to find her. So you're kind of chasing after her. Now, when you start off in the game, the first thing is that you don't have a map. And you are supposedly supposed to acquire a map. They give you hints, but I did not find the map in my hour of playing this. And the reason why I only played an hour of this for this review is because genuinely, that's all I could play. The game just does not function in its current state. The save system is completely broken. And we'll get into that in a second. But I do want to at least tip my hat to the only thing about this game that I genuinely enjoyed. And that was the pixel art. Now, the environments are really lush and nice to look at. It's set in, a Japanese setting, which I really like. And then also the music really does help with the aesthetics. It fits the environments pretty well. I don't think it's anything spectacular in the sense that I'm not going to try and listen to the soundtrack outside of the game. But when you're playing it, the music felt appropriate, and I appreciated that about it. Now, in terms of the game itself and kind of the flaws that I noticed in my playtime, is that it doesn't give you good guidance. So you don't really know where you're supposed to go. And maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the issues I ran into are a result of me having no clue where I'm supposed to go. It's fairly open outside of the introductory tutorial area. So maybe I stumbled where I didn't belong. But as you play through it, you can manually save. And herein lies problem number one, because the save system does not work the way that it should. I had the game soft lock on me when trying to load saves, when trying to reboot the game and then load it, it would soft lock. It's also possible that you can defeat an enemy and then manually save where the enemy was. And if you're one hit from death, when you load that save, you'll spawn in dead. And I had this happen a bunch of times, and clearly I had no idea that this was even a thing. If you save on an enemy spawn, it shouldn't have the enemy there, for one. Or when you save, it should save the enemies that you defeated in that immediate area as defeated. There's just so many small issues like that with the save system. This game soft locked on me so many times, and that is probably the main reason why I didn't continue playing it, because I already knew within an hour that I really didn't like this game. This is genuinely, I did a full year, probably hundreds of reviews at this point since I started my indie journey on YouTube, and this is by far my least favorite game I've ever covered on my channel. And I've played some really crappy ones that I ripped apart, but this game just does not work. It's not possible to have fun when the fundamentals of the game just don't work. Another issue with the save system is that the only way to heal in this, from what I can tell, is that there's certain kind of bonfires, I guess you can call them. They're quick save locations, and they seemed pretty scarce. And the first boss that I stumbled on had a save point, but it was not a save point that fills your health. Why? Every other game that I could think of that gives you a save point prior to a boss fight, it refills your health. This does not. So I was like 1 or 2 hits from death trying to defeat this boss. So what I ended up doing was I just ran past the boss and kept playing through the game. And then I ran into so many different softlocks and save issues that I decided, you know what? I've played enough to know that this game's pretty crappy. Like, really crappy. Like, this is unacceptable levels of crappy. It controls mostly okay, but, like, there seems to be a little bit of a delay on your slash attacks. And maybe that's just the sword weapon, since that's the main one I used. But it felt a little delayed. Like, I'm pressing the button on my Xbox controller, which is wired, by the way. And there's just, like, a few frames of delay from the button press to the attack on the screen, and I had to get used to it. I did adjust to it, but man, guys, this isn't a fun one, like, at all. I do not recommend this literally to anyone. This game needs so much more time in the oven than there currently is, because I'm recording this about a week and a half prior to release, as I got an early access key, obviously, but steer clear of this one. There's so many games out there that are similar to Ninja Gaiden that are far better than this one. And just one last thing I want to mention before I wrap this up is this game, for a pixel art game that runs on Unity, has some of the most ridiculous system requirements I've ever seen. Why does this game require a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM? Your guess is as good as mine. So this was Wren's Resurgence. Oh, steer clear unless you like crashes and bad game design. Appreciate you watching. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.